So here we go. Welcome to the Meet the Opposition feature. We are back for the 2022-23 season. I'm joined by Laurie Martin, the man who covers all things Forest Green, ahead of town's trip to Gloucestershire this weekend. Laurie, thanks for joining me, my friends. It's a pleasure to have you on once again. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Ross. I'm good.
Good man, good man. And town will be taking on Forest Green Rovers for the first time in both the club's history. Forest Green's opening day fixture against Bristol Rovers started with a 2-1 win in League One, Laurie. Quickly recap the result. It was a game with many chances, a win against a fellow promoted team in Bristol Rovers. How would you look back at that result?
Yeah, the perfect start really for Forest Green. I think a lot of people, Forest Green fans included in that, would have seen Bristol Rovers as favourites based on how they ended last season. Looking at that momentum coming into the new season. But I mean, Forest Green were absolutely the better team on the day. I think they had 17 or 18 shots. Rovers to Bristol Rovers is, I think, 7, 8, 9. So it was a pretty dominant display. The first 20 minutes were a little bit sticky. Obviously the crowd were up for it, and Forest Green sort of had to ride out a little bit of pressure. But after that, Forest Green just slowly got into it, and at halftime should have been a couple of goals up. I think some really good chances. Matt hit the post. McAllister had a header saved. Cargill had a header saved. It was a really sort of slick, fluid performance. Forest Green, looked like there were no teething issues with the new style of play or anything like that. It was a thoroughly deserved 3 points. Moore Taylor gave Forest Green the lead from a header. Then Forest Green had a goal disallowed for offside, which looks like it was probably on, and Bristol Rovers basically went straight up the other end and scored. But I'm sure a lot of Ipswich fans have seen it, but the goal to win it was an absolute moment of class from Regan Hendry. Basically, I don't know what you call it, a sort of like whipped lob, a whipped chip into the top corner. I was convinced, and a lot of Forest Green fans were convinced it was a cross, but it couldn't have been, because there was nobody in the box waiting for him. He knew exactly what he was doing. And a moment of class to give Forest Green a historic win, their first ever victory in League One.
Indeed, yeah. I watched back the highlights before coming on and chatting with you, and that was one head of a strike. And I didn't know it was so late on into the game as well, the 89th minute or so. So a late winner, and what a way to start your League One campaign. And as you said, off record, it's good to get the 3 points on the board straight away, not needing to wait for it, game by game, But so early doors, 3 points in the bag. Laurie, let's talk about the style of play. You mentioned that in that chat there. Has much changed under the new manager in Birchnell after Rob Edwards has gone to Watford?
Not too much, and I think that was part of the point of the appointment, was that Forest Green wanted an element of continuity with the playing style. So they weren't going from one extreme to another. And I think, those at Forest Green, like the director of football, want Forest Green to play in a certain way as well. So it was always likely to be a possession-based 3 at the back manager. Look, there are little differences. It looks like it's a 3-4-2-1 rather than a 3-4-1-2. So, a lot of Forest Green's play last season was based on wing backs getting crosses into 2 strikers, and now it's a little bit. It's like sort of 2 technical number 10s playing behind a striker. So it's a little bit different in that respect. I think there's also going to be a bit more playing out from the back this season, having just watched bits of Notts County from last season. So I think Forest Green will probably be a bit more like brave on the ball and take risks, which might they might be caught out against high pressing teams. But it worked on Saturday. As I say, there were no sort of teething issues. They looked like they'd really worked on it and had been working on it for quite a while. So little differences in the fact that it's a 2 and a 1 rather than a 1 and a 2. But obviously, we're still learning about the style and stuff like that. More will become evident in the coming games. But the early signs were that it looks, appealing on the eye, and it was very effective for a first game as well.
Indeed, and of course, unfortunately, you've lost some of your key players. Of course, a lot of them gone to the Championship. Of course, Nicky Cadden, he's now at Barnsley. He'll be coming up against Forest Green. He's it was a very good season last year for him at left wing back, so you're going to lose those players. But let's talk about the new danger men, players that stood out against Bristol Rovers. and players that Town fans should look out for. And we will mention a man who's just recently signed for you, but we'll do that as a separate section because I think that would be a talking point going into the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was probably some surprise performers on Saturday. One of which being left wing back Kyle McAllister, who was arguably the best player on the pitch. Forest Green signed Harry Boyes this summer as their first choice left wing back. He's got a foot injury, and I think the reports are that he's likely to be out until about October. So McAllister's sort of just filling in that left wing back role. He was signed sort of as a versatile midfielder. I think is kind of what people were saying about him. Can play in the middle, can play on the flanks, and he was brilliant. I think he had 5 shots, 3 on target, created the winning goal for Hendry. He performed sort of unbelievably. I don't think anyone was expecting that. And Corey O'Keefe on the other side as well, who I think is a League One quality player, no doubt about that. He was he looks like a great replacement for Kane Wilson on that right side, a silky dribbler. Scored the disallowed goal, which looked like it was on. So he gets in really sort of high attacking positions. So 2 new boys on the flanks, but they were absolutely vital against Bristol Rovers. And then, I'd say obviously Regan Hendry is one worth mentioning because he was at Forest Green last season. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and Rob Edwards got the best out of basically every player at Forest Green, but I don't think he did quite get the best out of Hendry. He sort of played him as a number 8 who would sometimes come deep for the ball and look to spray it, whereas Birchnell looks like he's going to play him as a number 10, which is quite exciting because he's, as Town fans would have seen from that goal on Saturday, he's got great technique and he can really strike a ball. So I think that's also one to watch out for. Regan Hendry, who played as basically a deep line midfielder last season, now playing as a number 10. And I think, if he can hit a ball like he did on Saturday against Ipswich again, then he's certainly one to watch out for.
Indeed, I'll be looking out for him indeed. And let's talk about then Conor Wickham, formerly of Town, came through the youth ranks, broke through the scene at 16 years of age. Our youngest ever debutant, by the way, just to let you know. Of course, signed on a deal until January. He's had a lot of injuries, unfortunately, but he's played in the Premier League, was at MK Dons last year. It's always one of those question marks in terms of he's going to come off the bench and score against us. But what's your thoughts on that signing?
It's probably one of the most high-profile signings Forest Green have made in a long, long time in terms of a name. These reports came out, I think, probably 2 or 3 days ago now that it was an option Forest Green were looking at. Forest Green needed a striker, no doubt about it. And I think it's quite exciting, really. It's quite fun. I think everyone knows that whilst Conor Wickham is a big name, his career hasn't gone how he would have planned based on, the injuries he's had. I know he's, still had a mostly top flight career, scored big goals in FA Cup semi-finals and in the Premier League, but he finds himself at Forest Green, and I think a short-term deal, it's only until January, is sensible because we know his injury record, so it's low risk. And I think a mate I was speaking to yesterday summed up perfectly that the biggest risk actually is if Conor Wickham does really well and is snapped up by a bigger club in January, and in which case Forest Green have won anyway because that means Conor Wickham would have scored goals, which is ultimately be helpful in Forest Green's quest to survive in this league. So it's a fun one, I think as well that he's obviously his last club was MK Dons, who I think are one of the smartest, savviest recruiters in the whole EFL. So if MK Dons see something in Conor Wickham, then I think that's a good sign. Obviously, again, he didn't get the game time he would have wanted, didn't score the goals he would have wanted, but I think a fit, if he can stay fit, which is obviously the big thing, and I think he's still only 29, so it's not as if he's coming in, he's got his flip flops on, just picking up a final pay packet. I think he wants to prove a point, and if he does move on if he does well and moves on in January and goes on to a bigger club, then fair play to him. Let's just see how he does in these few months. I don't think he comes in with huge expectations. I don't think anyone's saying, Conor, you've got to go and score 10 goals. Conor, you're going to be our main man. All our hopes lay on you. I think if you can just chip in, contribute in terms of goals and just general play, then it could be a nice little bit of business. So, whilst he's a big name, but I think I'm quite looking forward to seeing how it goes, just based on the fact that Forest Green needed a striker, and he's got a point to prove.
He does indeed. That'll be interesting, and see if he does come off on the pitch at some point against Town this weekend. We shall see. Well, Laura, let's talk about the game as a whole. Then Ipswich Town versus Forest Green, the first time it's ever happened. What are you expecting from the game, and what shall we expect for Forest Green Rovers side?
Well, I think expect a good game. I think Birchnell said, I think it was on the ITV highlights after Saturday, that we're going to go toe to toe with every team in this division. That's what we want to do. And yeah, I think Forest Green will, and I think that will make for an entertaining game. I think this team are fearless. They're not gonna sort of bank in and hope for a draw or whatever. That'd be an amazing result for Forest Green, but they're going to give it a right good go. So look, I think it's a great occasion for Forest Green, as I think mentioned when we did the season preview, because Ipswich Town coming to the new lawn is unbelievable. So it's a great opening home game for Forest Green to have. But yeah, I think expect a good game. I think obviously sort of two teams who play a good style of football, both sort of highly rated young coaches in their own right. So hopefully that means that it won't they won't sort of cancel each other out, and it will be an entertaining game. Obviously Ipswich have got a lot more star quality, but I'd certainly expect Forest Green to put up a fight and just go for it.
Indeed, and it's going to be a packed away end at Forest Green, and we spoke for the, as you said, the league preview, and there's not much around the ground, but any advice for fans going to their first ever visit at Forest Green, places to go before the game, and just the ground itself and the away end, and any quirks that it's got?
Yeah, so I think I don't actually know how much the away end holds now, but it's about the 1,000 mark, I think, isn't it? So again, it's sort of all along it's the West Terrace, was just all along one side of a pitch. Most of it is open air, so it's quite difficult to create an atmosphere in there, as I think clubs have found when they've come down in recent years, because it's spread across the whole length of a pitch. You've got chants going on in all different areas, but it's sort of one of the more quirky, unique away days, just based on the fact that Forest Green kind of is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot to do sort of up around the ground, but I think the club have worked sort of on that match day experience for away fans towards the end of last season and over the summer. There's now a BrewDog truck lorry which serves beer for away fans just outside the away end, and sort of little things like that the club have worked on to just try and make it a little bit more welcoming, whereas it is hard because there's not a lot of room up there to do stuff. So beforehand it's a bit more welcoming now, I think, based on what they've done. But yeah, in terms of, obviously Nailsworth is sort of the nearest town, which is just down the hill. There's a few pubs down there, the Britannia, Village Inn, Egypt Mill. So they're the sort of ones that if Ipswich fans are at the ground quite early and Nailsworth quite early, that's the ones to sort of look out for and get yourself a pre-match drink and stuff like that. But it won't be everyone's cup of tea, because it's on top of a massive hill. Road links, transport links, and stuff like that are limited, but it's quirky, and obviously a new tick for all Ipswich fans as well, I'm sure, which every fan looks out for, don't they? They always want to get another tick on the 92, so enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, indeed. I'm ticking it off as well. I'm looking forward to it. And well, Laurie, I wasn't going to do this on this feature for this season, but I'm doing it anyway. Prediction then, my friend. What do you reckon?
I don't think Forest Green should be expected to get anything off from this based on the quality difference in playing squad and budget and stuff like that. I'm gonna go 2-1 Ipswich. I think Forest Green will perform well, which I'd be happy to see that, a good performance. Obviously, we'd want them to pick up a result, but I think they'll perform well and just come out the wrong side of a narrow 2-1 defeat.
I think that's a good shout, mate. I've gone 2-1 Ipswich as well. I think Forest Green have got a goal in them, so I think there will be a goal at some point for Forest Green. But there we go, Laurie. Well, thanks so much. Any other business, my friend? Anything else you want to mention?
No, I think that's it. Just obviously all Ipswich fans going up. Have a good time.
Indeed, bring it on. Looking forward to it. Bring on Forest Green versus Town this weekend. Thanks again for watching. And Laurie, thank you very much.